Okay. Guys, welcome to the I Love CVille Show. It's Monday. It's great to be with you. I hope you managed that snowstorm very well. It's a fantastic show lined up for you with Andre Xavier, a travel and tourism expert and entrepreneur, quickly becoming a good friend of this program. His expertise second to none in the state of Virginia. I'm excited to spotlight Andre Xavier, his exploits, his successes, his trials, his tribulations. He epitomizes everything that's great as an entrepreneur in Charlottesville, Virginia, and you guys know what this show is all about, celebrating the best of Charlottesville, Virginia. Before we get to Andre, let's celebrate a business that also epitomizes the best of Charlottesville, Virginia. It's Greenberry's Coffee Company. Did you guys know for almost 30 years, a husband and wife tandem, Roxanne and Sean Simmons, took a beat-up Honda Civic in the McIntyre office park. They had a dream, they had some hopes, they had a willingness to work, and now they have a global business. They have locations in Japan, they have locations in Qatar, Saudi Arabia, soon to open in Portland, Oregon, Washington, D.C., and ladies and gentlemen, it started right here in Charlottesville. These are the kind of things that get me jacked and excited because I know we have entrepreneurs like this all over Central Virginia. One more I want to highlight is Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine. Who's got your back, baby? Scott Wagner and his team at Scott Wagner Chiropractic and Sports Medicine certainly do. I have seen what they have done firsthand, changing people's lives and improving their quality of life. Dr. Scott Wagner and the team, we salute you right here on the I Love CVille Show. My friend Judah Wickhauer is behind the board. He's making us look good. IG is hopping right now, so is the Facebook stream. Let's go to the two-shot and welcome Andre Xavier to the program. Andre, my friend, thank you kindly for joining us on the show.
Thank you, Jerry, for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's an absolute pleasure. When we were talking tourism and travel, I knew immediately there was one person I had to reach out to you, and it was you. You have a stellar background in this industry. I'm excited to spotlight it. But before we do, I want to spotlight who you are as the man, as the husband, as the father. You have an adorable little boy who we follow on social media. I mean, we talked about him being pulled straight out of the magazines. This guy is so good looking. Your beautiful family. Who is Andre Xavier, the person?
Sure. So André Xavier is originally from Brazil. I came to Charlottesville about 12 years ago. And came to work at the Clifton Inn, and I decided to stay, be married for 11 years. Family to me is probably the most important thing in life. As you know, we have London, our son, who's 2 years old. Fell in love with Charlottesville, and now more than ever, I truly appreciate what an amazing city that we have to raise a family.
How did you, and we'll get you to scoot a little closer, how did you get to Charlottesville? What brought you to this fantastic community?
Sure, absolutely. So after graduating from hotel management school in Brazil, I went to work for a cruise line. I worked for Silver Sea Cruises, traveled the world extensively with them, and got an offer to come to work for the Clifton Inn. At the time, I had no idea anything about Charlottesville. Decided to come because the Clifton Inn was part of Relais Chateau, a very prestigious hotel network. And when I got here, fell in love with the city, fell in love with this beautiful girl, and we got married, and then decided to stay in Charlottesville, and it's been here since then.
What the hotel management degree from Brazil, you bring it to Charlottesville and Central Virginia. Differences, similarities between Brazil, hotel management, and what's happening in our community.
Right. So in Brazil, the hotel industry, especially in São Paulo, where I'm from, is a city hotel. So we have, a lot of conferences, a lot of corporate clients. Coming to Charlottesville, Central Virginia, completely different scene. We are a weekend destination mostly. So definitely was an adjustment at first. So working at the Clifton Inn was a great learning experience. After the Clifton, I went to work for Keswick Hall. Then I was at Keswick Hall for 5.5 years. When I left, I was their director of guest services. Went to work in D.C. at the Four Seasons, which was a game changer in my career. So I got to really learn a lot in the area. I also put in practice a lot of my experience as well.
The Clifton Inn, we'll start there. Boutique hotel,
Yep.
Fabulous hotel, intimacy, fantastic guest experience, great pool on grounds. Different than the Four Seasons.
Right.
Very different.
Very.
Compare and contrast Clifton to Keswick to the Four Seasons in D.C.
Right. So Clifton Inn, as you said, is a beautiful boutique hotel, 18 rooms, very charming, very historical. It's the kind of destination that you want to come in for a special occasion, very romantic. So as an operation, it's very different because you can really cater to the guests to the most detailed aspects of their stay. So it's a much smaller scale. Going on to Keswick Hall, a much larger operation. At the time, we still had 48 rooms. I think they're adding more rooms now, but it's also high level of service. Now you throw in, different restaurants, different venues, different aspects, and for the guest experience, they truly have a resort to enjoy. They have golf, they have tennis, they have pools, they have activities. So a much more demanding job. And then once you get to DC at the Four Seasons, if I thought that I was working hard at Keswick, boy, I got a wake-up call. And once you get to DC, the level of expectation as a manager in a hotel is much higher. You're expected to work long hours. I was doing 12 to 13 hours, 6 days a week. That's standard. So that's when kind of hit me what I really was important to my career and my life.
I had similar experiences before I launched my business almost 11 years ago. This was in 2008 in the midst of a recession. I was working 80 hours a week. NBC 29, I was working there. I was working for the Daily Progress. I was doing a syndicated radio show. And eventually I was like, there's got to be more to life than what I'm doing here. And it kind of hit me in my mid-20s that I need to go into business here for myself. I need to own the product as opposed to relying on platforms to air my product. Talk to me about that revelation. When you figured out you wanted to be an entrepreneur, you wanted to have skin in the game, you wanted to put your what's on the line here and make it happen.
Right. So at the time in DC, that's when I truly realized that the hotel, to the level I was at with the Four Seasons, the demands were so much that I realized, and at the time my family, my wife and I were talking about having kids. And I truly realized that I could not have the lifestyle that I want and dream of being a hotel manager. So that's when I decided to quit that amazing opportunities that I had at the Four Seasons, come home to Charlottesville, the support of my wife, and we started Cville Travel, our first business. And as you know, it's not easy. The first few years of the business, you're very tempted to go back to a job because the income is guaranteed. So, but with a lot of hard work and perseverance and trust in yourself, we're able to overcome that. And now we've been in business for over 5 years, and we have a good amount of new businesses that we launched since that beginning. But I think what the drive was truly to have the ability to spend time with the kids as they're growing up. So I think that was the main motivator for me to start my own business.
I love that answer. That's a sizzle reel. You just crushed it. Sizzle reel right there, Judah Wickower. Let's turn that into a highlight reel for him. Similar for me. And I'm curious if you got this from any family members. When you were at the Four Seasons, you can legitimately make the argument that you're at the pinnacle of the profession.
Absolutely.
You're 4 seasons in DC, you're grinding, you're having success, you're entrusted with responsibility. When I launched my business, I'm doing a syndicated radio show, 2 TV shows, have a column in the newspaper, own a website. I'm making 6 figures, doing really well, and I decided I'm going to scrap all this and go into business for myself. My entire family said, Jerry, do not do this. What the heck are you doing? Why are you doing this? Stick with what you're doing it well. You do not want to go into business for yourself because 80% of small businesses fail in their first 3 years. I'm curious, my friend, if you got similar feedback from folks that you trust and love.
Yes, I did, of course. My family from Brazil, very conservative, and they're absolutely like, why are you doing that? You have an amazing career, you have a salary, it's coming in, everything's great. And I was had to explain to them why. But the one person that never for a single moment questioned was my wife. So that's why I said Charlie Ann, she's one of the reasons why we're successful, because she fully trusts on my guidance.
Yeah. One of the things I want to throw to you, and Judah, why don't you go to the 2-shot for me, Judah, please. And one of the things, Liza, our dog right there, getting a little rowdy. One of the things I want to throw to you is the courage. Why did you see an opportunity? You have a vertically integrated business. Cville Hop On Tours, Cville Travel. You're expanding to Richmond.
Yes.
You're expanding regionally. It's a vertically integrated business. What was the opportunity you saw to launch this business?
Sure. So the time I spent here in Charlottesville as a hotel manager and working at the front desk in those different properties, I really saw a lack of things for guests to do. At the time when I was working, the only thing you could book online ahead of time was a ticket to Monticello or a driver to take you to the wineries. And that was very challenging because as a destination, you have to have different experiences to offer to your guests. Otherwise, they don't come back. So when I returned to Charlottesville, that was the one of the opportunities I saw. I was like, look, I can create absolutely unique experiences, that's all with Cville Tours, in and around the area that we can offer to our guests, and really became successful, and the demand was there. So as definitely we saw the opportunity and we grabbed it.
6 months into my business, I was terrified. I put my life savings on the line.
Mm-hmm.
I was working out of my home at the time. It was not going how I had planned. And I also thought, like you, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I need to go back and get a paycheck from somebody.
Right.
And then what happened was I had a client that's still an active client in Andy McClure, who owns Citizen Burger Bar, the Biltmore, the Virginian. He's expanded to Richmond, to Clarendon, Northern Virginia, and he trusted me with building his websites. And we did a tremendous job for him.
Wow.
And then next thing, what happened was he then started telling other people about us. And then one client came in after another. And then we started building momentum because every project we did, we under-promised and over-delivered in everything we did. The reason I'm bringing this up is I'm curious if you have a similar story where you can look back on one circumstance or one instance when you said, you know what, I made the right decision and I'm so pumped to keep going this way.
Right. So I think to really put that into perspective, so one of the first business I started was Cville Travel as a travel agency. So the first few months, very hard because you don't have the clients. And then slowly we start building the clients. But I think a turning point to us was when we started to develop the hotel room block services that we have for the weddings in Charlottesville. So I approached some of the top wedding planners and said, hey, I can offer you a service that right now doesn't exist. So we offer hotel room blocks for weddings, and we have exclusive contracts with the hotels where we're saving thousands of dollars to those couples. So that was a moment that really the business then expanded, because through those hotel room blocks, we acquire clients for the honeymoons and so on. So we definitely build our books that way.
Fantastic sizzle reel right there. That's the kind of stuff people want to hear, Judah. Let's turn that into a highlight reel. As you go to the two-shot, Judah, one of the things I want to throw to Andre is the vision and the courage to use your first business as a springboard to other businesses. Right. I also did the same. You and I have a lot of similarities. Started first as an advertising agency for me. And then I realized in the midst of running this advertising agency that there was a need for a digital media brand that captivated Charlottesville in a positive spotlight. That's what I Love CVille was. Right. Then once I Love CVille had success, I decided to go outside the market to Richmond, but I couldn't do it with I Love CVille, so that's where Scoutology came into play. Yeah. And then as I was renting office space on the downtown mall, I realized that there was a need for executive office space downtown because I was doing it myself. So then I started purchasing commercial real estate and then becoming a landlord where I was then renting executive office space to other people. I use that story because I want to throw it to you. When did you, my friend, start realizing I have something here and I'm going to use this as a vertically integrated concept?
Absolutely. So Cville Travel came first. Year and a half later, Cville Tours came about. Cville Tours came as a necessity of Charlottesville to offer unique experiences in and around Charlottesville. Then as we grow Cville Tours, I saw there was a demand for something more affordable, because Cville Tours is all private tours, so the price point's higher. There was a demand for a lower price point experience. That's when Cville Hop On Tours came to exist. We'll talk a little more about Cville Tours in a second. But so Cville Hop On Tours, it is a response to a more affordable demand from the public. And then after Cville Hop On Tours, we went to Explore GMC. So with Explore GMC, I'm positioning myself for the future of tourism in Charlottesville. We're not quite there yet, but it will be. So definitely, you're right. So one business kind of brought the other one into the mix.
And don't they, what I found is they're like synergistic.
Absolutely. They complement each other.
They complement each other.
They do.
Put that in perspective for me, because I'm learning from you. How do your businesses complement each other?
Absolutely. So for Cville Travel, let's say I'm doing a hotel room block for that client. That same client is going to need transportation. That's when Hop On comes into the picture. Cville Tours, we do a lot of corporate clients. Then I use the same contacts for the hotels I have to help with my corporate clients' hotel needs, transportation through Hop On. So one business bring clients to all the other business most of the time.
It's a beautiful thing. Let's thank some folks for joining us. Gilly Garf, thank you for joining us. Lauren Linsky, thank you for joining us. Your boy Jon Craig, who I can't wait to highlight Jon Craig on the show. Thank you for joining us. Charlie, your beautiful wife, Michael Guthrie, Quentin Johnson, Billy Coyne, Constance Wyatt, David Cathcart, Sarah Hill Buczynski, thank you for joining us. Jessica Russo, Peyton Alley, Stacy Brookman, Daniel Kaufman from Public Seafood, Dave Warwick, our boy. Thank you for joining us, Dave Warwick. I love your Minuteman, Dave Warwick, and you know it. Michael Allenby, thank you for joining us. Ray Cadell, Will Vanderlyn, thank you for joining us. A lot of people on the stream here. My friend, I want to throw this to you. Cville Hop On Tours, is it perhaps your most known brand in your portfolio?
Absolutely. So Cville Hop On Tours, I'm the co-owner and partners with Jon Craig. Definitely the most popular business that we have. Many reasons why it's the most popular. One is a mass market product, so we can definitely appeal to a very large demographic. I think my partnership with Jon is very unique. Jon's a very talented person. He is the brand. A lot of people don't even know I'm part of Hop On Tours. I'm the kind of behind the scenes guy, and it's purposely because I'm not as cool as Jon, so he gets the credit for. But yeah, we're definitely growing the business very fast. Hop On is less than 3 years old, so 2.5 years. We started with 1 bus. We're up to 15 buses now. So 7 are up and running. So we're definitely seeing a fantastic growth very fast.
Cville Hop On Tours, guys, is amazing. You see the Hop On Tours bus perhaps picking folks up at 3 Notch. I think 3 Notch is a pickup drop-off destination.
At the X Park, exactly. That's the main location. Local hotels as well.
Yeah, guys, they have branded buses that take folks like us, folks of any age, any race, anybody who wants to support breweries and vineyards in the area. And they drive them around in a safe environment, a fun environment, an affordable and approachable environment.
Absolutely.
I have been on one of these buses. You can chill with your buddies, you can listen to music, and you don't have to worry about driving up and down 151 or to Crozet or even around town.
Absolutely.
I love this concept.
Thank you.
Talk to us about the dynamic between you and Jon Craig. And you're right, Jon Craig is charismatic. He's outgoing. One of the things Jon Craig does really well is I don't think Jon Craig owns any other clothes besides Cville Hop On Tours t-shirts. Because every time I see Jon Craig around Charlottesville, he's wearing a Cville Hop On Tours t-shirt. My friend, put this in perspective.
Absolutely. So Jon and I were very different, right? I'm in charge of the books. I do the numbers. I'm in charge of all the boring stuff. Jon is in charge of the operation, and he's the one who built the buses, so he's a very talented carpenter.
Jon built the buses?
The inside, absolutely. Once we buy the buses, we completely refurbish those buses.
Wow.
So he does that pretty much single-handed.
I did not know that.
Absolutely. Has hardwood floors. We have bars on the bus that made of wine barrels. He handmade those.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely. So he does a lot. And now we are expanding, so we do have a manager. Now Sharon is the one who is in charge of the day-to-day of Charlottesville, and then Jon will be focusing on the expansions as we grow to new markets. But our dynamic is very unique. We both think that we do a lot. It's always like, oh, I do more than you, and you do more. But it's a good synergy for sure.
Jon says, I have Cville Hop On sweatshirts too.
There you go. It's wintertime.
Yeah. I love the concept. I mean, talk about, put in perspective the trials and tribulations of breaking into the market with Cville Hop On Tours. And here's where I'm going with this is traditionally going to and from breweries and vineyards, the limo companies really had cornered that market. So you come in perhaps with a different price point, perhaps with a more approachable concept, maybe more fun, and you jump into the space and immediately, I think, get traction. Please put in perspective the challenge of coming into the market with a new concept and how you were able to get so much share so quickly.
Absolutely. So Charlottesville, before Hop On existed, the only way you could go on a wine tour or brewery tour was to rent an entire vehicle. So that was very cost prohibitive to a lot of people. So unless you have 15 friends, you're going to end up with the whole bill yourself. So Hop On pretty much solved that problem. The interesting thing about Hop On, once we first started, we had a little bit of a different business model. We had an all-inclusive business model where the tasting fees were included on the tour. And we quickly realized that, wait a second, that's not really working. So we changed the model to transportation only. because that allows folks to choose if they want to do a tasting, if they want to buy a bottle, if they want to buy a glass. And Hop On was the first company to really pay attention to the craft breweries. That's important as well, because at the time, wineries was the main thing. We jumped first into the craft beer. We highlighted that industry. And through that, so our routes are very unique. We have wine, beer, cider, distilleries on the same route. So that also appeals to a lot of couples because, female may like wine better or the male may like beer better. So you can go on the same tour and appeals to the different parties. So I think that is one of the reasons of the success, is to have the option, the freedom for the guests to choose what they want to do.
What I love about it is the opportunity to go into a Hop On Tours vehicle with one person, right, with my wife, with two people. I've done and I'm not marginalizing anybody. I'm not marginalizing the limo companies. There's a place for the limo companies, absolutely. But it's much easier to find yourself and my wife, as opposed to getting a team of 10 people to help share the cost for the overall vehicle.
Right.
When it's just you and one other person, it's affordable.
Absolutely.
Put that in perspective.
Yeah, so the affordability is probably the main drive, right? So that's what allows us to have a large reach on a larger market. So before, as I said, you have to have that entire vehicle. So by making the tour affordable, there's more income to be used on the actual venues. People are spending more at the breweries, at the distillers. They're buying bottles, they're buying keggers. So definitely allows that money to be returned to the destination.
That's a really good point that I hadn't have thought of. Ladies and gentlemen, did you hear what he said? The affordability piece of the Hop On Tours concept offers the guests on the Hop On Tours the chance of more disposable income. So when they show up at the brewery, the cidery, or the vineyard, they have more money to spend because not all that money was tied up front with the transportation. That's very interesting right there.
And absolutely, and it is a fact. Some of the venues realize that, and actually we have conversations with some large destinations. I'm not going to disclose yet because it's not done, but they're seeing that the Hop On guests spend more than their average customer. So they're more interested to see how can we get more of your guests here to us. Because definitely, our guests, they have an interest in craft beverage. So it's a very kind of target marketing to the type of people we're attracting.
And you launched the concept, I feel like at almost a perfect time. Because you have this huge blowing up of these breweries. Mm-hmm. And it was like these breweries are just become like destinations of fun, of destinations for family.
Family friendly.
Family friendly.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, part of an entrepreneur is seeing where the market's going, but I feel like part of an entrepreneur is having a little bit of luck on your side too. Well, can you talk to me about that?
Absolutely. So when Hop On started, the way it started was I went to dinner at Keswick Hall. Uh-huh. I used to work there with Jon Craig. Uh-huh. Jon came by, hey, Jon, how are you? I'm good. I was like, hey, I'm looking to add to my Cville Tours portfolio a craft beer tour. I didn't have that at the time, just wine. And I'm looking for a guide. Would you be interested in help me out? Because he was the assistant director of food and beverage there, so he knew a lot about beer. And he looked at me, he's like, look, I just gave my notice at Keswick. I'm leaving. So yes, I do want to make some money. So he came on the tour. He did the tour with the guests, came back. He's like, that is my dream job. I love to take folks around our beautiful town. I love to talk about craft beer, and I love getting paid for. So I was like, great, let's start a company. And that's when we decided to start Cville Hop On Tours.
What I like about Jon, and Jon, I know you're watching, I like a lot of stuff about you. What I like about Jon is his charisma. I like his confidence. I like his outgoingness. When you're around Jon Craig, all these elements have this contagiousness to them, where you're like, man, this guy's having so much fun. He's got such great energy. I'm drawn to it.
Right.
Put in perspective the dynamic between co-founders. Partners in a business. I mean, you pretty much have two people you're married to, right?
Absolutely.
Your wife and Jon Craig.
Yes, indeed.
Talk to me about that.
Absolutely. Business partnership, it is truly a marriage, right? So you have to communicate. You have to be willing to make concessions. You're never going to be able to make a decision on your own. You have to consult the other partner. So it's fun. As you said, Jon is a very charismatic person. He's very generous. Actually, that's a challenge that sometimes we do have. He's the president of Red Shoe Cville right now, so we give a lot back. And in the beginning, I had to go to Jon and say, Jon, we're giving away more than what we can. So let's step back and slow down a little bit on the giving. So that's a very cool thing that he does. He's a very generous person, and we definitely look at the business. Cville Hop On Tours is very important to us to be part of the community and to give back. So I think that is an aspect that he takes the lead on that.
What is the advice you give to entrepreneurs looking to start a business with a co-founder?
Sure. So you definitely want to look for someone who has different skill sets than you do. They have to complement each other, right? You both have to have the same goal to what you want to do on the business, what's the mission, what is the final goal of the business. But at the same time, you need to find someone who can do something different than what you can. So by finding that person who can truly complement your skill sets, you're going to be successful for sure.
How about the partnerships with the cool thing about your buses? There's so many cool things. John, I just found out that you are doing the inside of the work, dude. You're a Renaissance man. I am shocked by that. That's your craftsmanship is second to none, sir. One of the things I also love about your vehicles is the wraps.
Right.
They stand out. When you see them driving around town, they are an advertisement for your strategic partners. They
Absolutely.
build brand awareness for your partners. Put in perspective how difficult the first pitch meeting. When you go, who was the first person on the wrap? You go to somebody and say, "I want you to put your brand on our bus
And pay us for
and
it.
pay us for it."
Absolutely.
How did you do that?
So the whole wrapping thing came, actually, that was Charlie's idea. Charlie is my wife and business partner, so she does all our marketing, website, and all that.
Charlie, you're killing it.
So it was her idea to do the design. So the wrap actually itself has, the background is the scenery of Charlottesville, so mountains, and the concept is there's a bar top, then the beverages, the bottles, the glasses go on the bar top. So that's the concept. So you're right, it was not easy to approach the different venues. So, but the one place that was very welcoming and really opened its doors to us was 3 Notch. So David Warwick and the guys there, they're like amazing. They truly believe on the concept. So they were the first ones to be on the bus. Then once you have one, it's much easier to go to the next one and convince. But we had amazing supporters. 3 Notch is being on almost every bus. Caswick Vineyards is being on every bus, and they're the only vineyards on the bus.
Wow.
Very
So they have category exclusivity?
No, they do not. Just the vineyards don't see the value, I guess.
Wow,
Yeah,
I'm
brewers
shocked by that.
Yeah, the brewers in the other way, they absolutely. So we're very thankful for Caswick for believing on us. Bold Rock is being on every single bus of ours, and Devil's Backbone is being on every bus minus one. So we have very loyal sponsors, I would say, on that. And you're right, the bus is so cool, it's so fun, and it's really done in a way to really showcase the destinations we're going to visit.
Breweries and wineries that are watching this show right now, you would be crazy not to spend money with the Cville Hop On Tours and get your brand on this bus. I see them driving around town constantly. This is thousands and thousands and thousands of eyeballs of exposure at a very reasonable price. I'm telling you, you would be crazy not to get involved with the Cville Hop On Tours. The expansion to Richmond, that's ballsy. And why
Yes.
it's ballsy is because you're not in the Richmond market.
Right.
You are trying to manage a business from 60 miles away. Hard, challenging, easy?
Very challenging. So the Hop On RVA is a business that we launched. We're still not fully functional in Richmond because Richmond is a different market than Charlottesville. We learned that very quickly, that Richmond we cannot really replicate the business model of the Hop On in Richmond because the way the breweries and the destinations are located, they're very close to each other. You get to Scott's Edition,
Yeah.
you can literally walk everywhere. So our business there is a little different. Our goal is to bring people from Richmond to Charlottesville and people from Charlottesville to Richmond. So it's a shuttle that will be connecting those two cities. So that's the direction we're going with Richmond. We're not there yet.
I never even thought about this. So I love Scott's Edition. And why I love Scott's Edition, and it makes sense now that you've brought it to my attention. Why I love Scott's Edition is my wife Lauren and I can go to Scott's Edition and walk to 5 different breweries.
Absolutely.
With Charlottesville, there's 3 Notch, Champion, and I guess South Street.
Right, it's still a little further from each
Further
other.
apart,
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
It's not
yeah.
like Scott's Edition that is so close.
Right. So did you know going when you were expanding into the Richmond market, did you understand that challenge, or did you have to pivot once you got into the Richmond market because the market was telling you this?
We pivoted.
Yeah?
Absolutely, yes. We thought that we could replicate the model, but we quickly realized within the first few weeks. So we pivoted that model fairly quick.
Very cool. Now how's the market responding?
Well, as I said, Richmond, we're not fully operational yet. We did a couple runs on that, and it did respond well. People really see the value of the shuttle between the cities. You know, we're making it very affordable, so I think that's the response. Because the reason why we're not really focusing on that right now is we're really looking to the other market we're going to, which is the Cville Hop On Tours. So that for us is very important right now. So we're really focused on energy on that one.
And why I think that's a perfect market, and I don't want to assume, I want to, you're educating me.
Absolutely.
The Shenandoah Valley, Waynesboro, and Harrisonburg, the ones that immediately come to mind, say Basic City,
right?
Stable Craft.
Yes.
Is it Brothers?
Yep.
These are positioned further apart.
Right.
So this market seems tailor-made for what you're doing.
Correct. But also, if you think about Waynesboro and Stanton are very close to 151 and Crozet. So we saw that opportunity last year as an underserved market because there's no one doing any kind of transportation in Stanton area. So we saw an opportunity to go there and grab that market beforehand. And, you know, we're being very well received by the local Stanton CACVB. They really like what we're doing. We have great partnership with local hotels in there. So we already start running with one bus. We're pretty much being almost 80% occupancy on Saturday, so we're definitely getting traction there. We'll be adding a second bus to that destination very soon.
Jon Craig would like us to highlight Bold Rock Hard Cidery, Ragged Branch, Blue Toad Hard Cider, Blue Mountain Brewery, Keswick Vineyards, Pro Renata Brewery in Crozet, Three Notch Brewing Company, South Street Brewing Company, Snowing in Space, Castle Hill Cidery. Talk to me about Snowing in Space.
Absolutely. So Snowing in Space is being a great partner of ours. They're not as a craft alcohol category, but they're in the craft beverage, brew coffee. So we definitely decide to include them because they are Charlottesville. They're part of the community. They are very good people to us. So we definitely kind of included them in there.
I love it. I love it. How about Explore DMC? You have an offshoot brand, part of your vertically integrated empire. You are positioning your business for, it seems to me, regional expansion.
Correct. So Explore DMC is a destination management company. So I truly believe that Charlottesville has an opportunity to become a destination for corporate clients. I truly believe that's the mission, the narrative that we should change. So I'm positioning myself to be ready when we do have a convention center, when we're attracting more corporate clients, because Explore GMC pretty much combine all the business into one. We're able to provide travel to the clients, hotels, events, transportation, activities, you name it, we have it all done in-house.
Very cool, very cool. Let's thank some folks for joining us. Kevin Graham, Hot 101.9, thank you for joining us. Caitlin Mancini, Roy Wheeler Realty Company, thank you for joining us. Josh Hill, thank you for joining us. Mike Scotto from Fabio's on High Street. I love you, Mike Scotto. Thank you for joining us. We love Fabio's. Jack Snyder, the pro over at Glenmore Country Club, thank you for joining us. John Wyatt, my boy. Keely Kitchens from Georgia, thank you for joining us. A lot of people right here, a lot of folks on the Instagram stream as well. Guys, I'm not going to be able to get to all these because I don't want to take away from Andre Xavier, but thank you for joining us on the Instagram as well. My friend, you have filled 35 minutes and it's felt like 5 minutes.
Absolutely didn't.
You are crushing it. Now it's time to talk perhaps Charlottesville, Virginia.
Absolutely.
You're a tourism and you're a travel expert. This is what you do. It's in your blood. The Charlottesville brand, we're going to cut to the chase, needs work.
Yes.
After August 12, 2017, there is a stigma with Charlottesville that is unfair, a stigma in Charlottesville that is not realistic, a stigma in Charlottesville that unfortunately needs to be changed. Let me start open-ended first with that, sir.
Okay. So Charlottesville as a city, we suffered, I consider it a terrorist attack on August 12th. And I think we should treat that event as such. So we need to not victimize ourselves, but we need to, learn from a lesson from the event, put in places, policies that can avoid to ever happening again. But we do have to move on. And how we move on is not necessarily through one marketing campaign. It's through how do we present ourselves to the outside world, right? We cannot be feeling sorry, trying to find blame, but we have to heal as a community and move forward.
I agree 100% with that. Judah, highlight reel right there. Sizzle reel with Andre Xavier. Now we talk specifics. The Charlottesville Albemarle Convention and Visitors Bureau. It's a mouthful for CACVB is the acronym. The CACVB is entrusted with changing the national conversation and the image of Charlottesville. Your thoughts on the CACVB?
So the CACVB has done a fantastic job for the last 15 years to market Charlottesville as a weekend destination. They have done a really good job doing so, marketing Charlottesville as a wedding destination. We're a very successful destination for the weekends. The hotels are very pleased with the occupancy from Friday to Saturday, Sunday checkout. However, we are coming to a point that we're going to be having a challenge as a destination to fulfill those rooms during the week. You know, as a former hotel manager who understands the business, I know that a hotel cannot be profitable and sustain that business for much long if they do not have midweek business. So that's very important to understand. So the CACVB is being given the mission to change the narrative. The one concern I do have is currently we have Adam as the interim director, which is awesome. He's a great guy. The challenge is he is not there for the long term. So why entrust him with the decision that's going to impact us for the next 4 or 5 years? So I don't think we're being fair to him by giving him that responsibility.
That's a good analysis right there. Highlight reel there, Judah, on the CACVB. A campaign that the CACVB and, the campaign that's the CACVB put out, and I know a new campaign's coming out. We know it's an evolving process.
Right.
Advertising, and it's a very difficult business. It's our primary business here. He knows it well. You have to create ideas. Not everyone is going to like those ideas. Ideas are evolving as you get feedback from your consumers, from your focus groups, from the people you trust. So no negativity here. The first campaign flopped. The first ideas were not great. The first ideas featured, let's cut to the chase, a handful of what looked like 25 to 35-year-old white people drinking wine at vineyards, and with a tagline that was something similar like, it's okay to spit in this regard. Something like that. A very weird concept, very weird, just did not make sense to me. Immediately, my friend, there was tremendous backlash with this. The backlash was in-house with the board of supervisors that were on the board, with the counselors that were on the board. I had Mayor Walker on the show, and she said if I was on that board, the folks would have known not to present that to me.
Right.
I'm going to start open-ended with the campaign, and then we'll talk specifics. Your thoughts on that campaign initially?
Well, again, why spend the money on a campaign that's targeting the same folks that we've been targeting for the last 15 years? We have established that we have done that successfully. I think we have to change the narrative of the destination. We need to find more midweek business. That's where the money should be spent. Specific about the campaign, you're right. It was very... There was not a creative campaign, right? And plus, if you look at the pictures, they're so up close to the folks that you do not know where you are. I did not see any mountains. I did not see any beautiful scenery. So Charlottesville has amazing scenery. We have mountains, we have rivers, we have vineyards, breweries, distilleries, cideries. There's so much to see. Beautiful architecture. We have Monticello, we have the UVA, the downtown mall. Let's showcase those destinations, right? Let's show the world what we have here. So then people can focus on imagine, hey, I can be there, instead of looking at people's face and hands and glasses so up close. That's the one thing. I also think that we should not spend the money to create that content through an ad agency. We should do a crowdsourcing campaign. I truly believe that if we do an online campaign, let's say we get $10,000 and put that as a prize, you're going to be flooded with amazing design. I just asked, create the content, not the campaign, but just the content. We're going to get amazing design, creative, that's open to anyone from Virginia or the world, however we want to do it. So we're going to get different perspectives. So I think that's the route we should do it, because to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars in a campaign that is not doing anything different that we have been doing for the last 15 years is not wise. And that's our money, it's taxpayers' money, so we need to be really wise how we spend that money.
Sizzle reel, Judah. Chop that into a sizzle reel, please. I agree 1,000%. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to give props. And Judah, why don't we go on the one shot for this one for me, please? I would like to give props to Andre Xavier because this gentleman has watched this show, I'd say from the beginning. And he has seen the content that we have covered on this show. And he came up this gentleman with the idea of doing a crowdsource campaign. And the concept is, if we know we have so many talented people in Charlottesville, why not incentivize the talent in Charlottesville, the folks in Charlottesville who understand the mood, who understand the vibe, who understand what needs to happen, and say, give us your best ideas. We even could have a first, second, and third place and spread and allocate that money around and keep the money in-house. Right now, there's an advertising agency from Raleigh, North Carolina called Clean. They have roughly 400 likes on their Facebook page. And they are taking thousands, tens of thousands, I don't know the exact number. I can assure you it's tens of thousands of dollars of taxpayers' money. And their first attempt at this campaign literally showed everyone in Central Virginia that they didn't understand Charlottesville. And this gentleman, and we can go to the two-shot here, Judah, and I don't want to embarrass you, but I think you deserve the props. Thanks. This gentleman came up with the idea of doing a crowdsourced campaign where we get everyone galvanized, involved, joined together, working for a common goal to figure out how to change the national conversation. My friend, it's genius.
Thank you.
Absolutely genius. Why do we think we're not at that point? Why hasn't this been done? Why are we using someone from North Carolina to help us?
Well, I guess is because the people who are making the decisions don't fully understand, the market, don't believe enough that we have local talent to do so. And also, just for you to know, the amount proposed for the campaign, the lowest amount is $1.5 million for a one-year campaign.
Two-shot here. $1.5 million.
That's the lowest tier. It goes up to $6 million.
Of taxpayer money.
Correct.
To spend money to strategically position this campaign in the Triangle, Northern Virginia, or D.C. So, Andre, we're talking serious jack here.
Absolutely. And that's what I'm trying to convey through my message is let's carefully look at the direction we're going as a destination. We do not need to spend that type of money into the weekends. We need that type of money to the corporate client, the midweek business that all the hotels are dying for. And as a destination, it's important for the sustainability of tourism in this area. We're in a pivot moment as a destination. If we don't really look into how we're spending the money, we're going to regret for a long time.
That was one of the smartest things that's ever been said on this show. One of the smartest things that's ever been said on this program. Please, Judah, turn that into a highlight reel. I 1,000% agree with you.
Thank you.
The weekend versus the midweek. First, let me ask you this question. Do we think that there are too many hotels in the area? And the reason I ask that is because if the demand for midweek is not there, is it because there's too much supply?
No. So for the weekends, we are getting to the point that we have enough hotels. We still need a few more rooms.
Okay.
And I can speak with authority because I do hotel room blocks for weddings. So we do a lot of hotels.
Okay.
So we know that there's a huge demand for. But in order to sustain those hotels is the midweek business. So the midweek is a different client. It's a corporate client. So it's a client that's going to spend more money than actually the tourist itself, because not only they're coming for the hotels, they're coming for events, they're going to have meetings, they're going to have activities, so really injects money into the destination.
And oftentimes, Andre, the business itself is paying for the travel midweek to Charlottesville. So when your company is paying, or you're able to write off the stuff because you know your company is reimbursing you, you're probably more apt to drop some more ducats and have some more fun.
Absolutely, and you're going to come back, right? So if you came to a meeting in Charlottesville, you're going to see how awesome our destination is. They're going to bring their families. They're going to come back. So it's an investment that pays for itself.
One of the things, and thank you, Mark Wagner, for joining us. Tim Ryan, thank you for joining us. Chris Turner, thank you for joining us. John Gilmore, thank you for joining us. A lot of folks right here. Here's the question I have for you. And this came up from one of the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors. I think it was Ann Malik who said this. Okay. She said, guys, I see a Charlottesville-Albemarle campaign that's supposed to drive economic growth to Central Virginia, and Central Virginia is predominantly defined by Charlottesville and Albemarle County, yet the entire concept is focused on CVille. Here's a challenging question. Do you integrate Albemarle County into the campaign, or do you understand that if you market CVille, people will then trickle over to Albemarle County naturally? How does Albemarle County fit in?
Well, Albemarle County and Charlottesville, as a destination, they're one. It's really hard to separate them because we have a lot of hotels that are in the city of Charlottesville. The downtown mall is here. other attractions. But we have a lot of venues, wineries, breweries, distilleries in Albemarle County, also as far as Nelson County as well. So I truly believe that to be a powerful source of marketing dollars, we should create a coalition of different counties that all benefit from it. Because if someone's coming to Charlottesville, they're going to stay in Charlottesville, but they're going to spend money in Charlottesville and on the counties as well. So I think we all have a responsibility to attract the tourism. So I'm all for a coalition between Nelson, Albemarle County, Orange, but the branding has to be Charlottesville. Here's the reason why. Charlottesville, it is a well-known destination. In a good and a bad way, people know of Charlottesville. So let's take advantage of that. It's almost you're looking at a brand, right? If you have a brand that's stronger than the others, let's promote that brand. But at the end of the day, everyone benefits economically. So the revenue generated from the spending on those venues benefits the counties as well. So I think we should look at how can we together raise money to spend on marketing that benefits everyone.
The CACVB now is comprised of not just tourism experts.
Right.
The CACVB now is comprised of politicians.
Yes.
That's a fact.
Yes.
Does that concern you?
Absolutely. The mission of the CACVB is to bring tourism to the area. So how can you do so if you don't have people who understand the market and understand the industry from inside out, right? I think there's only two people on the board. There's Jennifer Mayo from the Omni, and there's someone from Veritas, and that's it. So I think something has to change because we have a lot of talented people, a lot of people who businesses are part of the hospitality and the tourism that would be more than happy to generously give their time to better the destination.
Civilization was the word that was used in the campaign. And the strategy behind Civilization, which was the brainchild of Clean, the advertising agency in Raleigh, was we need to stay away from the word Charlottesville because when people Google the word Charlottesville online, negativity shows up. So they came up with this concept, Civilization, which is obviously a play on Cville. My friend, I'm going to throw this to you. From my standpoint, I think we in Charlottesville, and I do advertising for a living, I think in branding, I think we need to embrace facts. We need to understand that we have a blimp in our radar that is negative and people can find it online. But we have to say, all right, that's who we are. Now we're going to take it, we're going to own it, and we're going to change it.
Absolutely.
And we're not going to pivot away from Charlottesville to this word civilization that, frankly, I don't think applies at all. Your thoughts?
I agree 100% with you. Cville is a brand on its own. You have on that. I have all my businesses are Cville Travel, Cville Tours, Cville Hop On Tours. It is a powerful brand. Why give that away, right? Yes, if you Google Charlottesville right now, there's still 2 or 3 articles about what happened in August, but guess what? They're on the bottom. You know, we live in a very dynamic world right now. So there's bad news coming from different places, things happening. So we should not hold on to that image. We should let it go, and it's going away. So I don't think we need to create a whole campaign just to try to clean a name that was never dirty, right? So Charlottesville is not the problem. You know, we were victims of a terrorist attack. That's simple. Just like New York City was on 9/11, just like Charleston was on the church shooting. So they move on. We just have to move that on as well.
That was on point, dude. Judah, highlight reel, please. You're killing it.
Thank you.
You're killing it. 50 minutes in already.
Well,
Super easy with you. You're killing it. Which geographical regions do you position the campaign in front of?
Sure. So Charlottesville, it is a driving destination mostly. I would say about 80% of our tourists are driving to Charlottesville. So I would say 6 to 8 hours radius that will cover, you know, New York City down all the way down to South Carolina on the East Coast, and then a little bit into inland West Virginia. So definitely will be the target for us. And as I said, you know, we do have. The one thing I do want to say, Jerry, is as a destination, in order to capture that midweek business, we have to invest in the infrastructure that we don't currently have.
For example?
Airport. We have to increase a little bit our flight options and make it more reliable. We do need a convention center. You know, there's one being built right now by the University of Virginia, but it's not going to be large enough. But I think the CACVB should invest some of the money they're planning to spend on marketing, save that money for a number of years, and, you know, within 5 years, we can actually be owner of a convention center. The city can own a piece of that with the county. So then now, instead of giving, huge tax breaks, they can actually own equity on the building and generate a lot of money and, bring money, recoup that investment they originally made.
Very good answer right there. My boy Colin Wyatt from the 757 on the broadcast. Colin Wyatt, what's up, big fella? Charlie says trade shows. Trade shows. Your thoughts?
Absolutely. So Charlottesville, to my knowledge, up to this day, only has attended the American Bus Association trade show. That's the only one. There are a lot of professional trade shows that attract corporate clients. With Explorer, I did personally send one of my partners to attend a trade show in Las Vegas to see, how feasible it would be for Charlottesville to go as a destination. Getting there, we saw a lot of different destinations with huge booths, spending a lot of money to attract their corporate clients. So they are targeting planners, people that can have a lot of clients. So instead of going after the individual client, you're going after a much more broad range through planners. So I think that will be a great investment to attend trade shows as a destination.
Good answer right there. Lauren Elaine Thompson, thank you for joining us on the program. My boy Corbin Snow from Snow's Garden Center on the program. Corbin, you're a smart guy. We're talking the Charlottesville brand, the Albemarle County brand. We're doing it with a tourism expert. And Corbin, you also have a lot invested in the Charlottesville brand, just like the both of us. If you have any ideas, Corbin Snow, throw them on the stream and we will bring them up on the cast. Here's a question I have for you. Albemarle County is surrounds Charlottesville.
Right.
Albemarle County has much larger land mass than Charlottesville. Many of the vineyards and wineries are in Albemarle County.
Right. Majority of them.
Yeah, majority of them. What's Albemarle County's place? We've touched on it a little bit. What's Albemarle County's place? Why can Albemarle County not also have a brand? Is it 2 campaigns maybe?
Well, it's possible, but you're stronger once you concentrate into one campaign. So why compete when you can work together? Because, as I said, if someone comes to Charlottesville, they're going to enjoy themselves in the counties. They're going to go to the venues.
Trickle over.
Exactly. So it's, I don't see, and I have different brands, so I understand once you have a lot of different brands to promote, you always have to concentrate on your strong brand, your moneymaker. That's when you want to promote and invest your money on it.
One of the things that I find odd about Charlottesville is Charlottesville does not have an official, well, it does have a welcome center. Here's the problem with the welcome center. The welcome center, guys, is an afterthought tucked in a bus station.
Right.
And the welcome center is secondary at the bus station in that they're asking hourly employees that work at the bus station that have other responsibilities to also moonlight as the welcome center greeter.
Right.
Why does a community like Charlottesville, Virginia, the once happiest place in America, not have a go-to welcome center that's run by the CACVB where you can go there, you can get anything you want, learn about the community, anything you want. I try to dabble in the space, but it's very difficult to execute. Mm-hmm. Why is the CACVB not have a go-to standalone welcome center that is not, and what's the importance of a welcome center, my friend?
Right. Well, just look at the downtown mall, the foot traffic that we have there every weekend. So all those people are looking for things to do. So they're coming to have a meal, they're coming to shop, but they're also looking for what else is there to do. So I think it's a huge missed opportunity that we have currently where the CVB is located, at the end of the mall. No one knows what is there. They should be in the middle of the mall, or at the front, nearby the Paramount Theater. Back on the day, they used to have a little wooden structure, right?
Kiosk.
The kiosk,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that kiosk would be the perfect venue, right? Tiny little thing. You need one person, 2 people that are working that can give out pamphlets, maps, talk about touristic information. Why not? And actually, I do know where the kiosk is.
Where? Someone bought it, right?
Richard Hewitt.
Yeah?
He does
Who's that?
Richard Hewitt used to be the sommelier for Keswick Hall.
Okay.
He bought it at an auction, and it's somewhere in his farm just rotting away.
Really?
Yeah.
Guys, remember when the wooden kiosk was in the center of the downtown mall? I certainly do. CACVB is watching now.
Hey, Adam.
We have folks watching now. CACVB, please consider having a kiosk or returning the kiosk back to the downtown mall where people can pass it and can interact with it from a dynamic standpoint. CACVB, your current welcome center is tucked away in a bus station. You know how many people know where the welcome center is? Not many. And you know what else is a problem with the Welcome Center? Is right outside of it is oftentimes where our homeless are congregating outside of it. Oftentimes, the homeless that are congregating outside the CACVB Welcome Center are intoxicated, aggressive, and polarizing. Why is the Charlottesville Welcome Center tucked away in a bus station outside where the homeless folks congregate and drink alcoholic beverages? This seems like a no-brainer to me.
Right, and I'll go even further, Jerry. If the CACVB will be interested, I'll be willing to partner up with them and actually staff that kiosk.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Okay, let's talk about that. You heard what Andre just said. CACVB,
yeah.
he is willing to partner with you. CACVB, Andre's team is willing to staff the Welcome Center. Put it in perspective.
Absolutely. So, I would say that out of all the companies, we are in a better position to really promote the destination, right? We do have a lot of offers to provide to the clients. We have the knowledge about the different destinations. So would be willing to come into agreement and actually promote Charlottesville as a destination, promote the activities that we can offer as a destination to the public. So I'd love to talk to them about that.
That's a great idea. Judah, highlight reel. Let's call that Andre Partner CACVB. That one is very, very good. Bobby Castine, thank you for joining us. Brian Combs, thank you for joining us. Steve Jones, thank you for joining us. Andre, you are crushing it, and we're almost at the hour, but I have so much left I need to cover. My friend, Charlottesville City Council. Okay, tough question.
Yes.
Okay. I'm a news junkie. I love the news.
Me too.
You as well.
Absolutely.
I constantly am reading in the newspaper, on NBC 29, watching, whatever it may be, radio, whatever it may be, renaming streets, taking statues or changing statues' names or moving statues to museums or doing away with them, changing or rebranding parks. This is what's in the news cycle. What's not often in the news cycle is City Council focusing on driving economic growth to the community. I'm going to start open-ended first. City Council and its role here in Charlottesville and Central Virginia, your thoughts on what it's doing well, what it's doing poorly, what can be done differently?
Well, I think the challenge is we still dragging about the August events. So the reaction to change statues, to rename streets, all stems from that. One thing I can tell you, since the August events, we do have a tour called the Civil War History Tour. The sales of that tour has increased almost 300%. People are interested in learn about the Civil War. They actually want to be educated. So I think there's a huge opportunity for us to educate people about the Civil War. And of course, I think it's a valid discussion to see where the statue goes and maybe relocate them to an appropriate place. But I think that should not be the sole focus of the city council. We have a community that's lacking in so many areas. We have a problem with our police force. As the city of Charlottesville, we're losing a lot of officers. We have a huge problem with affordable housing. Just today I saw on CBS, Dave Matthews donating $5 million. Right? I mean, he's taking upon himself as a private citizen to solve the problem that should be solved by the city, right? That says something. That means they're not doing their job. But I think everyone has the right intentions. It's just a matter of finding the direction that they want to go.
It's about execution.
Exactly. And, and as a destination, we do have to promote business and, bring more corporations and generate more jobs to our community. And you cannot achieve that by changing street names or moving statues.
Your partner, Jon Craig, says we should add a statue of Grant and call it Civil War Park.
Right, it's not a bad idea.
Not a bad idea. Adds to the Civil War tour that you were talking about.
Absolutely.
You said your tour is up 300%?
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That is the market talking.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the market saying, maybe we can leverage this into a draw to the community. Your thoughts?
No, I agree 100%. Look at the 9/11 Memorial in New York City. Huge tourist attraction, right? So I think there are ways to do that. You can be sensitive, that you can be tasteful how to do it. Of course, the community input is important, so let's hear what people want, instead of making unilateral decisions that what we individually think is best. Right? We are a community, so we have to look at all sides.
Superpower real estate agent Caitlin Mancini of Roy Wheeler just left a conversation, a message for you.
Cool.
She says, awesome interview, Jerry. Hey, Jerry and Andre, I am ready and willing to partner and help staff the Welcome Center. Anything you need.
That's awesome. Thank you. I would love to have someone like her, super energetic,
talented, looks the part, knows the area.
Exactly.
Yeah, she would be phenomenal. Who would not approach Caitlin Mancini at a welcome center?
Absolutely, right? So that's what I'm telling you. Is like we as a community have so much power that if we're just waiting for the elected officials to do something about it, it may not happen. Sometimes we do have to take on our own hands.
Well, the problem with politicians, and I'm not marginalizing anyone, but the problem with local government, state government, national government is it's slow moving. Bureaucracy is slow. Entrepreneurship, the successful entrepreneurs are the opposite. We're nimble, we pivot, we understand what's going on outside, and we make decisions. And some of those decisions are risky, but some of them are based on what we think is where the market is going. Put that in perspective. The private-public partnership welcomed more entrepreneurs into the mix to help pivot, to help change the conversation, my friend.
Right. I think the CSFVB by itself cannot change the pretty much change the direction we're going, but as a community we can. So I think the government does have a lot of assets that can be used to market the destination, but I think we as private individuals, we can really contribute to our community to really showcase what can we do, right? So I think it has to be a partnership between the private and the public. I don't think either one can do by itself.
You have crushed it. In fact, you have filled 63 minutes.
Wow.
This is the last question. I would love if you looked at your one-shot camera,
okay.
and I'm going to turn this into the pinnacle sizzle reel.
Okay.
The question, to give you a chance to think, is how do we return Charlottesville the happiest city in America? Before we get that, I'll thank the sponsors so you have an opportunity to think.
Okay.
Roy Wheeler, thank you for joining us on this program. Roy Wheeler, a legacy brand that's trusted, reliable, a brand that you can count on. Scott Wagner of Scott Wagner Chiropractic, thank you for joining us. Intrastate Pest and Service Companies, a home's best friend, and of course, Greenberry's Coffee for more than almost 30 years. A company has gone from Charlottesville to a global business. We are going to close on this question. Judah, are you ready for this? Judah is ready. Andre Xavier, how do we return Charlottesville, Virginia to being the happiest city in America?
Absolutely. I think we have to start by looking into our community. So affordable housing, I think, is the main priority. We cannot be a happy place if people don't have a decent place to live. I think we have to focus on creating better jobs. I think we have to focus on being a safe town, so invest on the police force. I think those three components can make us the happy city that we always been. We know, I'm happy. I know that you're happy, so I know that the city of Charlottesville never stopped being happy, but I think we just have to be a little more generous and give back to our local community, to a lot of people that are not as fortunate as we are.
That was fire. Judah, that was so good. Sizzle reel, please. My friend.
Thank you, Jerry. Really appreciate it.
You made us better.
Thank
You
you.
really did. I am truly grateful for this man's time. I would encourage anybody who's watching, and I see the CACVB is watching, and James Watson, thank you for joining us. This man should be on your team. This man should be in the mix. I'm getting emotional and choked up right now. And why I'm getting emotional and choked up right now is because this town means so much to me. And I can tell it means so much to you.
Absolutely.
And it's time that we leverage our best assets in our community, and it's our human capital. And right now, our human capital is not being leveraged. It's being either forgotten or ignored. And when we have people that are as talented as him, and they're not in the conversation, that's not good. Please leverage your human capital and the citizens that are willing to give their time. Their most precious commodity, our most precious commodity is our time. And people are willing to volunteer their time to help this community become not what it was, but what it is. It's what it is. We are great. We need to go back to being great, okay? Tomorrow is Michael Payne. He's running for Charlottesville City Council. I would like to put his platform, his forum, his goals, his ideas into perspective. I think it's important with 3 spots up for a November election that we get to know who's running for office because, folks, the 5 city councilors in Charlottesville have tremendous influence and power with what's happening in Charlottesville. So what I'm doing with my forum is allowing you to get to know them, to help you vote better. My name is Jerry Miller. It's a true pleasure to be with you. I want to thank Judah Wickhauer behind the board, Andre Xavier for making us better. I close the show the same way every time. Please, Charlottesville, Virginia, be good to each other. We'll see you tomorrow at 12:30.